I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, and welcome to our podcast, For the Health of It, episode 14. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast, and you'll never miss an episode on how to naturally get well and stay well.
The information presented on this program is not intended to take the place of your personal physician's advice, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Discuss this information with your own physician or healthcare provider to determine what is right for you.
Are you suffering needlessly? Dr. Joe can give you advice on how to naturally get well and stay well. Dr. Joe Esposito.
Today we're talking about neurotransmitters, the chemicals in your nervous system that actually make you work, the things that keep you alive. And really good information today, because without neurotransmitters, your body can't work. They're the chemicals that make your nervous system work. And as a chiropractor, if you've heard my shows before, you've heard me say 1,000 times, your brain and your nervous system control everything. Our jobs in our offices as my chiropractic team is to get the bones lined up properly and get the nervous system working from a physical standpoint, realigning bones and muscles or organs. Sometimes we have to actually move the organs around. Or from a chemical standpoint, and that's the nutrition and the supplements. And by the way, if you want to get my supplements, Super Greens Essential Source, the adrenal supplements, the B vitamins, the vitamin D, we got a bunch of other ones too. You can go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or you can go to Amazon. We have an Amazon page as well, and if you want to buy them there, if you have an Amazon account, it might make it a little easier for you. Or we also carry them at our offices if you happen to be in our area. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. You could always come by and pick them up and save the shipping cost. Always trying to look out for you guys, my concern. Best thing for you. All right. We talked about adenosine. Now I'm going to talk about dopamine. This is the feel-good neurotransmitter. If you're bored, it can lead to suboptimum levels of dopamine. So if you're bored, you can get depressed. And if you're depressed, you can get bored. And so you kind of get into this little cycle. Dopamine creates euphoria. And it's associated with things like romance, eating certain foods, even shopping. You can get high shopping. So when a dopamine gets released into the brain, you start feeling really good. The nucleus accumbens is one of the places where you might get some dopamine release, but you don't know where that is, so that's okay. So we got to get the dopamine high. Now, dopamine comes from tyrosine. Tyrosine is an amino acid, and what happens is when proteins are digested, they become amino acids. Now, the amino acid tyrosine gets into your body and becomes dopamine. And so you need that. Now, if you have an issue digesting proteins, the hardest type of proteins to digest are animal proteins. So if you're eating a lot of meats and cheese and butter and dairy and yogurt and ice cream, chances are you're not going to get good digestion. And that's a problem. Because with the digestion, you break down the proteins into amino acids. As we get older, our stomach acid lowers. And as the stomach acid lowers, we don't digest proteins as well either. So that's something else you might want to consider is getting older. What can we do to stimulate our stomach acid? Little trick that you might want to try is 2 tablespoons of raw organic apple cider vinegar every day, or certainly before a big protein meal. And when I was a kid, my German grandparents, they would make lentil soup and split pea soup, a little ham hock in there. Of course, I don't do that anymore. But every time they'd do that, they'd add, just as it was served, they'd add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. And I remember asking my grandmother once, why do you do that? And she said, flavor. She wasn't even sure. Well, it turns out she knew how to do it. She didn't know why to do it. When you did apple cider vinegar, it can help stimulate your digestive enzymes to break down the proteins and the sugars better, so you digest the food better and less gas. Neat trick. But 2 tablespoons of raw organic apple cider vinegar, I don't think a day goes by where somebody doesn't say to me, Dr. Joe, thank you for telling me that trick. I've been taking it. I've lost weight. I have more energy. My digestive system's better. I personally don't like the flavor of apple cider vinegar. But I'll mix it in with, if I'm going to make like some seltzer maybe with some stevia, some water, I'll add the apple cider vinegar. I'll add it to soups because taking it straight, some people take it straight. No, but I tell you, those are real men. I don't know how they do that, but I do it sometimes too, but it's a bit much. But it can stimulate your digestive system to break down the proteins into amino acids so that the amino acid, in this case tyrosine, can become dopamine. If you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, chronic cough, sinus problems, your stomach may be pushing up into your diaphragm and acid is leaking, so to speak, up into your esophagus. It's usually worse at night. And what we do is we take the stomach and we can actually adjust or massage or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. And when we do that, we manipulate the stomach, get it to relax, and in so many cases, myself included, digestion returns to normal. When I was a kid, I used to have a really rapid heart rate. It would beat, bop, 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 then it would stop, then it would skip a beat, then it would go high again. Had high blood pressure and couldn't figure out why. And finally, maybe 15 years ago, I realized the same nerve that controls a lot of the stomach controls a lot of the heart, called the vagus nerve. And when you massage the stomach down away from the diaphragm, it relaxes. And now you're able to digest your food more efficiently. Pretty cool, huh? And the acid reflux goes, because the acid coming up into your throat can lead ultimately to things like esophageal cancer. Singers have lost their careers because the acid was eating away at their vocal cords. And you pull the stomach away from the diaphragm is pretty important. So if you have that, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, emotional disorders, I can't tell you how many children come see us now with digestive issues. It's a good idea to get it fixed. And many times we can. Can we fix everybody? No, we can't. But can we fix most people? Yeah, we can. We're pretty good at it. And that's why after 33 years of doing this, I still get more excited than ever to come into work and see patients. Because I just get so thrilled knowing, I think every morning, I really do. I really think this on the way to work. I think, what kind of amazing miracles are going to happen today? It's pretty exciting. Now, if you do become a patient here, tell us how you're doing. And if you're not happy with something, you're not getting the results that you expect, tell us so we can work on it. Now, a lot of people come in 2 visits. Oh, I'm not fixed yet, doc. All right, that's being a little unreasonable. You've had the problem for 20, 30, 50, 70. I had a patient 94 years old come in the other day, and after 3-4 visits, she said, well, my hands are still hurting. So you're 94 years old. Give me a little more than, a couple of visits, and my doctors, we work on the patients, and we usually get pretty good results. So back to dopamine. If your dopamine is high, you're excited, you're energetic, it triggers a lot of pleasure in your body. The levels are enhanced by things like amphetamines and cocaine. So if you're doing amphetamines and cocaine, well, that stimulates the dopamine or enhances the dopamine levels, and you get really pleasured out, man. Problem is, that's not real. You're overstimulated to have pleasure, and then you come crashing down off that. If your dopamine levels are low, it can trigger overeating, craving sweets, difficulty concentrating, difficulty initiating or completing tasks. Sound like you so far? Can cause addiction behaviors, things like alcohol, tobacco, gambling. Because when the dopamine levels are low, you want to feel good. And we find people that are addicts oftentimes have low dopamine receptor sites. They're biologically different than other people. So one of 2 things, we can try to force dopamine stimulation with things like cocaine or gambling or risky behaviors. Or why don't we try to fix the digestive system? Let's get the digestive system working more efficiently. If you're eating animal products, very hard to digest animal products for proteins. Plant proteins, much easier to digest. So I would recommend going to a more plant-based diet. Gee, another reason to go to a more plant-based diet. I used to love meat. It's been 32 years since I've had any animal products, and I loved it. Meatballs and spare ribs and cheesesteaks, and man, it was awesome. But also the meat then is different than the meat now. The meat now has a lot more steroids and hormones and chemicals and pesticides and herbicides and genetically modified foods. So whatever your opinion is on that, that's your opinion. I have the facts. But either way, there's no doubt that digesting animal protein is a whole lot harder to break down than plant protein. And by the way, plant-based diet, a whole lot cheaper. Oh my goodness. And there's so many good foods. If you don't know what to make, my first book, Eating Right for the Health of It. Got too many books out there. Eating Right for the Health of It, great guide on what to eat, what not to eat, recipes. Whenever somebody comes to my house or, if I'm going dating or something, I'll make a fancy meal. And, oh my gosh, this is plant-based? Absolutely. Yeah. Mushroom gravies over polenta with nutritional yeast. Heaven. Salads. My one salad, my avocado mango salad that's in the book. #1 seller at a restaurant in Atlanta, actually. A friend of mine, Richard Thomas, asked me what my favorite recipe was, and I gave him that. He put it on the menu years ago, and it is the #1 selling menu item. So good. All raw, by the way, too. All the enzymes are still there. And that's important, too, for enzymes, because enzymes help break things down and reassemble things, fight infection, fight inflammation. And if you're eating nothing but cooked food, which a lot of you are, you're depleting your body's stores of enzymes. So your body's trying to make enzymes, but chances are you're using them up faster than you can make them. And eventually you go into enzyme deficiency, and that's not a good place to be. So eat more raw food. Broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. That's one of my big sources of raw food. I have that for breakfast every day. I take a scoop of each, Super Greens and Essential Source each, about $1 a scoop. And there's 2 scoops per, a scoop of each. And I mix it with coconut milk. I put it in a jar and shake it up so it dissolves real well and drink it. Stuff's amazing. I have people come in all the time, people that just won't even change anything else in their diet. And they'll come in and say, Dr. Joe, just taking that, I feel so good. And I've been motivated now to change my diet because I'm starting to feel better. Now, the patients come in all the time and say, Doc, I can't afford not to take this stuff. I said, what do you mean? They say, when I take it, I'm less hungry, so I'm eating less food. So I'm saving money by taking the Super Greens and the Essential Source. So I don't see a downside to taking it. It's great. You can mix it up, give it to kids, take a frozen banana, whip it up in a blender with some coconut milk or almond milk. Again, I don't do animal products. And give it to them, tell them it's ice cream. It's great for kids. Oh my gosh. So as long as the kid's eating solid food, you can give it to them because it's all food. So it's really cool that we've created these things over the years to meet your demands. This is what you, the listeners, or you, my patients, have said. This is what I need, Dr. Joe. I need a quick, inexpensive, tasty supplement. Let's make Super Greens an Essential Source. I'm tired all the time, Doc. I'm all stressed out. Let's get an adrenal supplement. Dr. Joe's Adrenal Supplements. Almost all of you are deficient in B vitamins. Let's get a B vitamin supplement out there. Most people are deficient in vitamin D. Got a vitamin D supplement out there. So I've created what most people need. There are fringe. Everybody sometimes needs a specialty item, but we have other companies I can refer you to. But if you go to my website or on Amazon, we have all the supplements there. My books are listed there. Give it a shot. You've spent money on stupider things. I promise you spend more than $2 a day on stupider things. So give it a shot and see what happens. I think you'll be pretty happy with it. So back to dopamine. I did promise you to tell you why women crave carbohydrates more than men. Now, if you have low dopamine receptors, we find this in obese people. Another reason why people have trouble losing weight, because they're not getting pleasure from life, and food stimulates the dopamine receptor sites because they don't have as many dopamine receptor sites. The question, of course, comes into, as scientists, what came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, low dopamine receptor sites, or did you just have a bad diet which messed up your brain? Either way, once you start to heal the body, give the body the raw materials that it needs, many times the body can heal itself. Now, it's an instinctual response, if you have low dopamine levels, to eat comfort foods like chocolate and sweets because they boost dopamine levels. Sugars, refined carbs light up the brain's dopamine pathway. These are the pleasure-sensing spots, the same pathway that people with alcohol or drug problems have issues with as well. So if I give you sugar, I can measure the excitement in your brain, usually at the nucleus accumbens, but other places too, and you get high. If I gave you cocaine or heroin or amphetamines, the same areas light up, but not as much. Sugar lights up the brain more than amphetamines or cocaine. Sugar's easy, quick, cheap, and legal. So this is why so many of you are hooked on sugar. Now, historically, sweets eating them was a survival tactic. So when our ancestors foraged for foods, they sought out sweet foods because the fruit that was the sweetest was the most nutritious. It had the highest amount of nutrients in it, and that's why you ate it. The problem is that we now eat mega doses of super concentrated sugars. You eat an apple, that's one thing. You eat high fructose corn syrup, apple cereal with wheat, and then sugar on top of it, that's a different story. Women generally have more taste buds than men and are more acute to identifying odors. I'm going to say this is funny. Women smell better than men. Boy, is that ever true, right? No, but women can actually smell more than men. Women are more gustatorily stimulated than men because they have more taste buds, so they get greater pleasure from food than men do. So there is a physiological and biological difference, gee, surprise, surprise, between men and women. Can't be equal. They're better than us, right, man? Females have larger food pleasure centers in their brain, so they want to stimulate that more. Female brain is more stimulated by food, and females cannot suppress hunger as well as men. These are biological differences, folks. It kind of is what it is. Low dopamine can trigger apathy and dull attitude toward life. You ever meet somebody who's just dragging along in life? Many times it's a dopamine issue. And the first question I ask people that have emotional issues, anxiety, depression, bipolar, ADD, ADHD, fatigue, lethargy, brain fog, I say, how's your digestive system? And they'll kind of look at me. I'll say, any gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, acid reflux? Probably I'd say about 90-95% of them will say yes. The other 5% are lying. Because once I check them, there's ways we can check here in the office real quick. It's a physical check. It takes 30 seconds. And we can test to see if there's any issues there. 100% of those cases have a digestive issue. And we're able to massage the stomach, pull it down away from the diaphragm. It's able to digest food more efficiently. And that helps break the proteins into amino acids. The amino acids become neurotransmitters. And the brain starts to work better. And then they start absorbing their other nutrients. And the body now has the capability to heal. So most of those patients, like you too, should probably be taking Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. You know, we may need adrenal supplements if you're stressed. You may need vitamin D if you're not in the sun a lot. You may need digestive enzymes as we get older. And there's lots of my supplements on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Also available on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. Folks, if you want to make an appointment to come see us, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. My team of chiropractors and I would love to meet with you. All my doctors are handpicked by me and trained by me. So any treatment that I give you, chances are they're going to give you the same treatment or better. So don't freak out if you see another doctor when you come in. I'd like to meet you, of course, but we have 5 doctors. We all look at our patients. We share information, and it's nice to have 5 doctors treating you instead of 1. That's the way I look at it. You have 5 different eyes on you. Well, 10 different eyes on you, actually. You want to make an appointment, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world. It brings you to the Health Plus Wellness website. That's the name of my clinic, technically, Health Plus Wellness. But we can go ahead and get you set up. We take people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. We want to get you well and keep you well. I have never seen a car accident ever where the car was damaged where the occupants weren't. And I want you to get quality care if you've been in an accident. Because there are some clinics, and I'm not saying names, that really are just here to run up the bill. And they just want to run up the bill, get you out of there. And then I see those people after the treatment saying, Doc, I'm still having problems. I still have issues. I never got better. And then we have to start over. But unfortunately, at that point, many times the insurance company says, you're done. We don't care about you. You're done. You signed off on this. And then it's your responsibility. So you want to get well as quickly as possible. So if you know anyone or yourself have ever been in a car accident, the sooner you get them to us, the better it's going to be. All that information, drjoeesposito.com. So we're going to keep talking about neurotransmitters. And, a lot of this stuff is a little complicated. I understand that. And if you want to listen to it again, you can go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and listen to my podcast. We have hundreds of hours of podcasts there, video as well as audio. So if you're a visual learner, audio learner, however you want to learn, we want to give you the opportunity to do that. And the cost for all my podcasts, all the articles that I've written, no charge. That's my gift to you. I want you to understand what it takes to get well and stay well. And when you're ready to get well and you need some advice, we're here for you. But until that time comes, you could listen to podcasts and videos as much as you want, no charge, my gift to you. But it's a good idea to get a coach. I have coaches. I think you should have a health coach too. And my team of doctors and I would love to be your health coach. So that's all on the website, drjoeesposito.com. Just Google Dr. Joe. Back to dopamine. What's nice is when you're happy with what you do, the body produces a lot more dopamine. So when I do radio shows, I remember one day, not long ago, I got called into the station and it was a beautiful weekend afternoon. And they said, can you cover like the 12 to 2 shift? And I said, yeah, sure. So I went into the radio station and one of my friends said, man, it's a beautiful Sunday afternoon and you got to work. And I said, no, this isn't work, man. Remember the song, right? That ain't working. That's the way you do it. This not work for me. This is fun. And when I do it, I'm sure I'm releasing dopamine because I feel really good. Because the information that we're sharing with you can save your life. And just about every show, I think about this. How many lives are we going to save today? It's a pretty cool job, man. That ain't working. All right, dopamine. Low dopamine levels. Caffeine spares dopamine, which means it increases your dopamine levels. So caffeine, again, we talked about that, can stimulate dopamine levels. Chocolate contains compounds that are precursors or building blocks to serotonin and dopamine. One of the reasons you like chocolate. Chocolate contains about 20 milligrams of caffeine per ounce, and that raises your dopamine levels. Remember, caffeine stimulates dopamine levels. And also, chocolate has something in it called phenylethylamines, or PEAs. Phenylethylamines are another neurotransmitter in your brain, and it's released when you're in love. So why wouldn't we want to eat chocolate? It raises my dopamine levels. It has caffeine, which blocks my adenosine receptor sites, which gives me energy, or it just prevents me from getting tired, really. I get PEA, so I feel like I'm in love. There's absolutely no downside to eating chocolate, right? Well, there is. If you're going to eat chocolate, I'm going to give you the rules on how to do this. Small amounts of raw organic chocolate. If you're eating anything but raw, not raw, you can do raw if you want to. It's called cacao. If it's roasted, it's called cocoa, by the way, if you don't know the difference. But small amounts of organic dark chocolate. The dark chocolate doesn't have the milk in it. We can do a whole hour on milk if you need me to. I've probably talked about it in the past. I'm not a fan. So we can do the little bit of chocolate if you have to, but be careful because you can get addicted to it. That's why a lot of people love their chocolate. Dopamine. Low or suboptimal levels of vitamin B12 can lower your body's levels of dopamine. Most of us don't get enough B12. You only need a little bit of B12 in a whole lifetime, but you need a little bit all the time. And if your body isn't producing it or storing it because you can't digest your food, for example, maybe you have acid reflux or heartburn, you may not be producing something called intrinsic factor. Intrinsic factor allows you to absorb B12 in the stomach. If you don't produce intrinsic factor because the stomach isn't working, you can't absorb the B12. Another reason if you have acid reflux or heartburn, to come see us so we can maybe massage or pull your stomach away from the diaphragm. Check the nerve supply. We're chiropractors. We check the nerve supply to everything. That's our modus operandi. We always want to check the nerves to the organs because you can have pain. And if you have pain, folks, if you have pain, stop suffering needlessly. Most cases get very good results when they follow a chiropractic regimen, but you got to follow the doctor's orders. So if you want to come see us, of course, you can do that. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com. We can set you up an appointment to come see us. Offices, again, Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We'd love to see you. If you have seasonal affective disorder, that lowers dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine. That means you get depressed in the winter. You're not getting enough sunlight. One of the things that can help that, vitamin D. Guess what? We have a vitamin D supplement on my website, Dr. Joe's Vitamin D. Now, low levels of the hormone progesterone lower dopamine. And by age 35, 50% of women in the U.S. are low in progesterone. So as you lower your hormones, it can lower your dopamine so you don't have as much pleasure. Now, I did a show, was it 3 or 4 weeks ago, on women's health issues. And we covered a lot of progesterone, estrogen, the sex hormones, the adrenal glands, how the adrenal glands produce the sex hormones along with the ovaries and men the testicles. So you really got to take care of your adrenals. And if you're sucking down coffee like a fiend, you're going to burn out your adrenal glands. And so it can affect your hormone levels, which can affect your sex drive, your energy, your muscles, your heart, your blood vessels, your colon. Another reason not to burn out your glands. And if you are under stress, and we all are, I take Dr. Joe's adrenal supplements. Gee, I want to, every supplement I've ever created, I did for me. These are the things that I need. And if I need them, you need them. So that's why it's just practical to look at life like that. What can I do to help enhance myself? Women and carbs. Study by Weight Watchers. Running out of time here. Study of Weight Watchers showed that 58% of women surveyed think about sex at least 10 times a day. 70% admitted having far more regular fantasies about food. So women fantasize more about food than romance. Why do you think nature did this? Well, probably because women are designed to maintain energy levels, and calories are called energy, so that they can bear offspring and they can raise offspring. And that's why, gentlemen, women are stronger than us. They're biologically designed to be. They're more, they have more energy many times than us, but they can burn out. So that's another issue. So what do you think excites men? What do you think releases the dopamine in men? For women, carbohydrates do. Men does too. Pretty women. Men like looking at pretty women. Eye candy. And that helps stimulate dopamine receptors in men. So ladies, if you yell at your man for looking at other women, don't get upset if he yells at you for eating chocolate and cupcakes. Okay? It's just stimulating the dopamine receptor sites. I'm only kidding. Don't send me letters. But maybe think about it. So folks, neurotransmitters are so important to the body, and I have so much more to cover. Like I said, I may have to do another show on this. But if you want to listen to this and hundreds of hours of other podcasts, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. You can make appointments there. You can send me questions through the website. We want to be your doctors. And if you want to make an appointment to come see us for neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, car accidents, please, folks, you know anyone who's ever been in a car accident, get them to us as soon as possible. Because we got to fix the damage so they don't have permanent damage. Want to make an appointment? The website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. You can find us real easy. It's not hard to find Dr. Joe anywhere in the world. And we would love to have you and your family come in. But here's the thing. Don't come in if you're not serious about wanting to get well and stay well. We're serious about wanting to work with you, and I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste our time. So a lot of patients want to come see us, and we don't want to take up an appointment for somebody who really wants the care. So the website again, drjoeesposito.com. Thanks for listening, folks. Catch you next time. Thanks for listening to For the Health of It. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well. You can also listen to and call into my radio show live Sunday evenings from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WSBRadio.com and on the WSB Radio app.